Hello, everyone. Oh, new year. What's happening? I've probably asked your name before, but you are the one that's in South Africa. Um, and I don't know if I've gotten your name. And if I have, I apologize for asking for it again. But you're South Africa, yes? Um, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching from. We don't tend to get Xander. Got it. Try to put that to memory. I try real hard. Good morning, Jonathan. Yeah, happy New Year, everyone. I know a lot of you guys probably took some time off. I know some of the audience was tinkering away in their laboratories, getting their colors dialed in. I know on the 31st, on New Year's Eve, I was texting with like 3 different people who were building profiles out and asking questions and testing things. So I need to make sure I'm available on the 31st every year when all y'all are trying to break your stuff and get better results. So learn some stuff. I learned some stuff from what they were doing, and it's one of the things I love about the collaboration and the chatting with folks is just learning more. So yeah, this morning has been just a bombardment of me trying to respond to emails. So if you are watching and have not responded to an email or a message you've sent me, give me a bit. If you don't hear from me today, shoot me another email because it probably got lost in the shuffle. New Year's was great. Kind of laid back and chill. Just doing a lot of stuff around the house. Also, just trying to take a breather because the gauntlet is coming. I am right now scheduled on the road. I leave on Tuesday, tomorrow, and I don't come back home till Saturday the 17th or whatever, so a week from Saturday. So I'll be out for like 12-ish days. I'm home for like 3 or 4 days, and then I go to Impressions in Long Beach. And then February, I've got 2 big long jobs, and most of these jobs that I'm scheduling right now are like 5 days or 4 days, like in shops, like long periods of time. So it's pretty interesting. But the thing I'm really excited about, which is kind of weird, but I'm really excited about this week, I'm actually in a shop that has DTG machines. And so it's my first time working on DTG. Color is color. I think there's definitely some things with DTF that make it a little harder to do color sometimes. And that's been the experience when I've been working with other color profilers. But I'm really excited to try some stuff out on these DTG machines. A couple of them have extended color gamut, so they've got an orange and green included in it. They're brother systems, and I'm trying to do some matching with some older equipment, and I have some ideas that I think I have a good game plan to try to get these new machines to match the print output of the old machines. So I have some ideas. I'm going to trial them and see how they go before I tell anybody what I'm kind of going to try to do. But yeah, so it should be fun. And yeah, that's what I've got going on this month. And so again, if you are going to be at Impressions in Long Beach at the end of this month or later this month, make sure you come by and see me. I'll be at the DTF Station booth. I know that they're going to be doing some giveaways. I don't know that we're allowed to talk about what the giveaways are just yet, but there's going to be some freebies. So come say hi, shake my hand, and take some freebies because it's good stuff. Yeah. So the title of this week's, and it's really funny. I'm watching up in the corner. I can see like how many people are on. And I'll usually watch that and wait for it to like tick up. We've been sitting at 7 the whole time since we logged on. So, and I know that number is not entirely accurate because I know there's more than that, but whatever. That number is a gauge of what's going on. So I usually try to wait for that to get up before I start getting into the topics. But this morning I had an insane volume of emails to respond to. So I didn't get as much prep as I usually kind of do when I'm prepping for my live stream. But as I was thinking about it, I was joking like, well, what should I do for my live stream? What's happening, Frank? I see you're watching on YouTube today, not LinkedIn. You are usually my LinkedIn viewer. So it was kind of a little bit of a joke in the back of my head. It was like, what should I do? But also, like, part of why I think, at least for me, these last couple weeks have been a little more stressful, or not stressful necessarily, but like weighing, is like I got a bunch of new opportunities that I've been trying to figure out what the right one is and which direction to go. But I think oftentimes, especially as business owners, and we're going to get a little existential today, but a lot of times it's not necessarily like, oftentimes you're given like a couple options, like what to do. Like a lot of you guys as garment decorators, even getting into even getting into DTF, you were making the decision of like, do I add this? Is this going to add to my business, or is this going to take away? I actually have somebody that signed up for a consultation call. They are a screen print and embroidery company looking to introduce DTF into their work, but they're not totally sure what they want to do. So I think that knowing what you want your business to look like, to be, and to do, if you don't have that pretty well dialed in, it's real easy to get distracted and pulled a bunch of different directions. But some of these opportunities are, the reason I think they weigh on me a little bit more is because it's a lot of travel. It's going to be quite a bit of travel. And I already travel a ton. And it might take me out of being in shops sometimes. However, this opportunity might afford me the ability to go to other countries as well. So it could be that I end up in Europe a couple times. And if I'm in Europe, well, then the European audience we can schedule some color profiling, and I can color profile while I'm in Europe or in Australia or So yeah, lots of good opportunities. But the one I want your feedback on, I was waiting for more people to get in the chat because I want your feedback on this. Ladies and gentlemen, what I would consider the greatest bromance in the garment decorating space, me and Estevan from All American Print Supply, self-proclaimed by us as the best bromance in the industry. He's wanted to do a collaboration with me while we're at Impressions. And so we oftentimes struggle, Estevan and I, coming up with good ideas, great ideas for collaborations. So if you guys have ideas for a collaboration you'd like to see with Estevan and myself, and please don't say bench pressing because he would smoke me. He's ripped. But if you guys have ideas of things you would like to see, put it in the chat. Let me know. Just throw, like, there are no dumb ideas. But Estevan and I have done collaborations multiple times, but we just always struggle with finding stuff that's or coming up with things that the audience would actually benefit from. We share a similar audience, but sometimes the things that we come up with don't always like translate super great with what you guys like to see. So let me know what kind of collaboration ideas, what kind of like project or relatively quick project could Estevan and I do together at Impressions. It could also just be fun and silly too. Like we made this cup with UVDTF, and as you can see, I don't know how to put a sticker on a freaking cup, but we made this at Impressions in Atlantic City. This was actually before I knew I was actually doing this business. But we've also done, we've done 2 different collabs at Impressions Long Beach before. So if you guys have ideas, let me know. But I also wanted to feel out the idea of doing, and we've talked about a little bit before, of doing a Discord channel for DTF, and specifically for like newbies and color profilers. A couple of the guys that like to color profile have mentioned wanting to do a some of the guys that are doing the profiling have mentioned that they would like to be able to collaborate with other people that are doing that kind of stuff. So, but the thing with Discord is it's got to be some more management. So sometimes it's going to cost like a couple bucks or something, like kind of cheap. So, so let me know if like a Discord server, and in case you don't understand, it'd be like the Facebook groups where you can like go on and ask questions and see what people are posting about, but a little more controlled. And that's why I would probably charge a little bit for it, is because we want to be able to moderate it appropriately and like make sure it's not just where somebody asks a question, they just get trashed like they do in the group sometimes. So those are a couple of things that we're thinking about doing. Robin, I'll get you Robin in just 1 second. Frank says, I don't know that it matters. Either one is fine, but the ad revenue, and you don't get any ad revenue from watching it on YouTube right now because the live stream isn't monetized. It's monetized after the fact, but not during. But yeah, it doesn't matter. You can watch it anywhere where it's easier. So Frank suggested do all over cap. That's a good idea for me to see if I can do something like that. I'll have to see if there's an idea for that with me and Esteban, but that's a good idea. Yes, Discord server. Okay. School. So I have thought about school as well. The reason I like Discord is it's got some really neat tools in it where technically we could train like an AI. That's what DTF Station does for their support, is Discord. And I do a lot of work with them already, so it would be nice to like have that in the same kind of ecosystem. Different servers, obviously, but having the same kind of system. The school thing is very popular right now, but I think for what we do and for what I would want the group to look like with some of the collaboration, the ability to upload larger documents, the ability to share bigger files and stuff like that. I think that Discord's probably a little bit better way to do that, but yeah, I'll have to look at that. So talk to Skido. I'm going to go Skido because Skidoo would be 2 O's. But anyway, biggest challenge, getting colors to pop. Then I switched to CMYK. Everything. Yes, don't do CMYK. Don't do CMYK. It does not pop at all. You get precisely 0 pop. So talk to Skidoo. Or Skido, whatever. Let me know. Share your name if you want to, and I'll call you by your name. But let me know what RIP software you're using, because that will be super, super helpful. And I can give you some pointers on how you can get it to pop. So, and also pop. Pop is like the most indescript word. What do you mean by that? Do you mean more saturation, more brightness? I understand you just want it to wow. That's the goal, right? We want shirts to wow. So yeah, so let me know that information. And honestly, guys, I think every time I think that I've converted most of y'all over to editing in RGB, I get someone who watches the channel or talks to me all the time that is like, wait, I should be doing it in RGB? I'm like, yes, you should be doing it in RGB, or should be editing in RGB. So yeah, so real quick, while I'm waiting for Talk to let me know what RIP he's using. Shout out New Year, same sponsor of the live streams. DTF Station is the sponsor of these live streams. I have the Prestige R2 Pro. It's running their new Color Prime Chroma ink, and it is chef's kiss. It's fantastic. Now, they just have the chroma on their CMYK. They're coming out with the white version a little later this year. I think I'm supposed to have some test versions of the white soon-ish. But it is part of the reason I actually saw a thread this weekend on the forums asking about like what people do to leave their printer for an extended period of time. And You guys know I'm on the road a lot, and this thing gets left unattended for long, long periods of time. So, yeah, and I think it has to do with the quality of the build. These things are manufactured in China, but DTF Station is the manufacturer. They control all the parts. They put better parts in it. They have control. So like their Print EXP isn't Print EXP like everybody else's. Let me show you. Their Print EXP is DTF Station Pilot. It looks totally different. And they've actually gone in, well, maybe not totally different, but they've gone in and changed some of the things. So like nozzle check actually says nozzle check. When it says calibration, it doesn't say like print adjust or the different things. Look, it says test print. So they are actually manufacturing and have control over that whole process. So they also add some features like, and I meant to show that, the advanced film feature. When I'm done printing at the end of the day, I can have it feed out at the same rate it was printing for a certain amount of film. This is like a silly little thing, but man, is it nice at the end of the day to not have to sit there and manually poke the button to feed the film out. And so the combination of the way this functions with this auto cleans, which I set the auto cleans of 14 hours, it does auto white recirculation and the stirring of the white every 15 minutes for about 30 seconds. I just leave it on when I'm gone. I turn off the little LED light, I turn off all the heaters, and I just make sure it does those periodic auto cleans every 14 hours and the circulation. And then the next piece is why I believe this thing does so well is the quality of the capping station and the ink. The ink is phenomenal. Like it's not, I've had zero clog issues, zero. And that's leaving it multiple times for 16 plus days, like long periods of time that you should not leave your machine unattended. But I have no choice. And it's part of the reason why I partnered with them when I first started this whole thing is because I needed a machine, well, A, that was small and fits in my little studio space, but B, one that could handle being left alone for long periods of time. And I wasn't necessarily thinking that it would last like 16 days being left alone. I was really scared that one time when I left it 16 days and I came back, I was like, this is going to be interesting. And I had it running in less than 20 minutes. Crazy. So if you're interested in DTF Station products, feel free to ask me questions. I'm happy to answer them. They have everything from these desktop machines. They have the Prestige R1, which uses an XP600 printhead. Not a massive fan of that printhead, but the R2 Pro uses i1600 printheads, 2 of them. So it's actually relatively fast with a small form factor. And then they've got the XL2, 3, and 4, which are their 2 and 4 heads and extended color 3 heads, I believe is what the XL3 is. I mostly talk to people about the XL2 and the XL4. And then they've got lots of new products. And if you guys come to Impressions, come to the DTF Station booth, they're going to have some new products. I know of some that they're launching that are very, very exciting, but I cannot talk about them. But I think they'll have the folder there. The folder was a huge hit at Printing United. But yeah, huge shout out to DTF Station for sponsoring these live streams and my YouTube channel as a whole. Love them so much. All right. Yeah. Xander switched from the CMYK to RGB. Yep, and everything pops. The wonderful word pop that we don't actually entirely know what it means. What do you mean by exchanges? Like if you have a different machine, will they give you some kind of credit for giving them your crappy old machine and getting something new? Is that what you're referring to? You would have to reach out to one of their dealers. I am not a dealer for DTF Station. Cool. Yep. Yeah. So reach out to the dealers. Some dealers do like a buyback program. Sometimes at different seasons, it just depends. But yeah, you would want to reach out to one of their dealers. So if you go to their website, dtfstation.com, and click where to buy, you can look for a dealer in the United States. You can also look for dealers globally because they do have dealers all over the world. Lots in Europe. I think only 1 or 2 in like Africa, a couple in Australia, and a bunch in Asia. So there are a lot of a lot of places where you can get DTF Station products from. So reach out to one of their dealers and you can chat with them about if they have any type of buyback type of program they're running right now. So, and yeah, if you guys haven't seen my video about their new Chroma ink, it's ridiculous. That's crazy. So I'm working on some. One of the things that I feel like there's got to be a good solution for. Yeah, they're working on that. I had a discussion with them about that. They're working on it. There is a bug that's been buzzing around my office all morning. There is in my brain, there's got to be a way where I can take the gamut, and I think I showed you guys that last week, when I was comparing gamuts and stuff like that. Let's actually here, I'll pull it up real quick. So like when I have this gamut, right? Like I have this data and it's in a lab color space. And I would love to find a way to like create a swatch chart, like a set of swatches that were the boundaries, the outer boundary of the ICC profile. I've tried with minimal success to chat with ChatGPT or talk to ChatGPT about it, trying to see if he can like analyze the data from that ICC. But that gamut is lab values of the colors that it is analyzed that it can produce with that printer or reproduce with that printer. And so there should be a way for me to take that lab value and just stick it as a lab value into like Photoshop and find the right RGB conversion for it. But basically the idea there would be to produce a set of swatches that are the outer boundaries. So the most saturated, most bright, most dark, like the outer shell of it. And then give me those as swatches so I can print them up from Illustrator or Photoshop so I can see the outer capabilities of what my system can do. And then maybe a few other ones on the inside. But if I see the outer edges, like what's the most saturation I can get, I feel like there's got to be a nice way to cleanly do that. So if any of you have ideas about that, let me know, because I've been trying different things, trying to figure out a way to extrapolate, like pull that data out and get it into like Photoshop or Illustrator as a set of swatches, because I would love to be able to do that. Like basically go to a shop, profile your machine, and then give you a bespoke set of swatches that show off exactly the most pop you can get from your machine, for lack of a better term. So yeah, so if any of you guys have ideas about that, and you also don't feel like sharing it in here, feel free to just shoot me an email, colorgamutconsulting@gmail.com. Yeah, today has been a little bit of like I think it's how we all feel when we come back from a break or a vacation. It's like you got like 86 million things to do. And I also have a bunch of things I got to do before I leave tomorrow. I thought my flight was leaving a little later than it was, but so I thought I had like tomorrow morning to get stuff done, but apparently my flight leaves like 12. So I got to get to the airport a little bit earlier than I anticipated. But yeah, if you guys have questions, probably last week was like an enduro live stream. It was like an hour and 45 minutes or something like that. It was crazy. And we got super deep on some stuff. It was a lot of fun. But if you're here and you've got questions, and the number of viewers has been going up the entire time we've been here. So if you have questions, get them in the chat. I'm happy to answer them. I want to answer them. I don't need to cut this live stream off at only half hour if y'all have questions and you need them answered. For those of you who didn't see, I have questions too. If you have ideas for collaboration I can do with my buddy Estevan over at All American Print Supply, let me know, because we're going to do a collaboration at Impressions. And he and I always struggle with trying to figure that out, figure out what topic to do. All right. Ooh, here we go. Okay. We've got the answer. Sweet. Ski-do. Ski-do. Hi, Greg. I was told to always export to TIFF and CMYK too, but colors always drop. Please can we make a video on the topic, make colors pop. Why? Okay. So a couple things. First thing is because you have main top, you have to do a TIFF because you have to have a white channel. You have to put in your white channel. With Neo Stampa, with Digital Factory, with a lot of the other more advanced rips, for lack of a better term, they automatically create a white underbase. And a TIFF file has the ability to have spot colors. So you do need to create it as a TIFF, but you do not have to create it as a CMYK TIFF. You can create it as an RGB TIFF. That is going to be totally fine. You just still need to create a white layer spot color like you've done before. And I think going to RGB from CMYK will help it pop. But it also depends on what your rip is doing. I don't actually have main top. I don't have access to main top. Anybody in the chat that has main top or has used main top, can you control the input profile on main top? Carl's got some insight. You can save as an RGB TIFF, but make sure to save transparency. Okay. Yeah, so you can save it as a TIFF or an RGB, but main top may be doing some tweaking or analyzing or filtering after the fact. So what you want to see is if you have the ability to change the input profile, like how it's like analyzing the information coming in. So on Digital Factory, let's see if I actually have Digital Factory open. Do I? I do. Oh, look, it's even open to the right page. So on Digital Factory, I have the ability to select my input profile. So here it's under the ICC profile. I say override input profiles that come in, and I want to use Adobe RGB 1998. And then if I'm doing Neo Stampa, it's right here. It's just in this three dot dialog here. And it's under color. No, sorry. Advanced. Don't. Input defaults. And I can tell it I want to use Adobe RGB 98 as the input default. And I don't want to use embedded ICC profiles in the document. So I uncheck that. Because PNGs come with sRGB embedded. And there are other files that come with embedded ICC profiles, and I don't necessarily want to use that because if somebody does understand what they're doing and they send you a file, then if they send you a file that is embedded with a specific ICC profile, it means they kind of know what they're doing. Problem though is they may not know what they're doing with DTF, and there's a bunch of different. And this is why it's so frustrating, especially when we're trying to match Pantones, is there's all these different filter moments, possibilities of filtering that can slightly change color throughout the whole process. So, and that's part of what I do with my experimenting is find out where all those points are so we can either get rid of them or control them the way we want to. And eventually, and this is me working on a bunch of different systems, trying a bunch of things. Eventually, I'm going to come out with a workflow, like a color workflow, so that we can mitigate all of those weird filters that like to change color and move them around and why we get different results. So I'm working on some stuff from that. Build your own profiles, baby. It is welcome to the club. Welcome to pain and suffering as well. Just ask some of the crew. Jerome Coleman, who's on the call right now. Coleman is tuning in from jury duty. All right, chat. Let Coleman know how to get out of jury duty if he wants to, legally. What does he say? What does he say to get out of jury duty? You might want to do jury. My daughter wanted to do jury duty. I have actually served on a jury. Luckily, I was the alternate, so I thought differently than the rest of the jury. So it was going to be a pain in the butt, but I didn't have to go through the deliberation part. Anyway, Robin, thank you. I'm glad it's worked out well for you. When I first discovered that, I was really hesitant to like tell people to do it because I was like, maybe it just works on my system. But once I had more people respond that it works well, it's great. It works really, really, really good to give people more capability out of their printer for sure. Okay. CADLink 12, which I have not delved in too terribly deep yet, Thor. Can I do the grain check while building the profiles just afterward? So the grain check in Digital Factory 12 is, in my opinion, it's not as good as the way that I do it. And what I mean by that is, let's pop over to Digital Factory 12 real quick. Let me hide that comment. Oh, no, I don't have Digital Factory 12 open. Hold on one second. So if you guys have watched my videos, you know about so many things open. Exit. If you guys know anything about the way that I try to like to profile, is I like to do my graininess dot test before I do anything else. Let's go. That keyboard is dead. Digital Factory 12. Okay, so the graininess test, you do need to do it earlier on in the process, because when you change those variable dot settings, it will change the way the linearization works. It will change the way the profile works. It's going to be totally different. So you need to do it early on in the process or within their process. So what Thor is talking about is here on manage print modes. So if I go to, hold on, let me make sure I select the right thing. Why is it not coming up? Oops, I've done this before. Blah, 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 blah. There we go. Now I know it's something I don't need to ever save. Okay, so the first step is this, your device. Oh, Facebook. I'm sorry, I lost you, Facebook. I just got an alert from StreamYard that Facebook is having issues. Delightful. Well, there's only a couple of people watching on Facebook. All right. So your device says white ink channel. Yeah, this is kind of normal. I don't want to set my white ink right now. I'm just going to skip to this grain piece. Droplet size is available. So this, we talked about on the live stream. This is actually a nice feature that they do now, is they let you actually see what drop sizes are available, because some machines are only can do 2 drop sizes. But I'm going to skip past these. And then this is multiple charts printed available droplet size from device. Each chart uses a different droplet size ratio. Yeah, that's what we're just looking at. Oh, okay. So this one is the one probably that you were talking about. And I need to go through this process like completely. I haven't had a chance to do it on 12 yet. But these steps, I want to do it through the way that like Digital Factory is telling me to do it. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, I think that I'm going to prefer my way of at least picking the variable dot settings. Now, the fact that it's doing, I'll show you guys what it looks like. The fact that it's doing, this is probably going to be fine. But you would want to do it at this point in time. This function is very similar to what my graininess dot test images are. It's literally 0 through 100 of cyan, black, and then magenta and yellow together. And I understand why they did the magenta and yellow together is because the introduction of graininess is mostly due to cyan or magenta. When graininess happens, it's usually in those two colors. So the magenta and the yellow really aren't big players in the graininess issues. And so what we're doing with those droplet sizes is seeing kind of what settings are going to perform best for those individual variable dot settings. And so mine is a little, I don't want to say more straightforward. This is very similar. What they've done here is very, very similar to my test. They achieve the same end goal of choosing the right variable dot settings for specific individual colors. Now, in my experience, the yellow has been a similar setting to the black. It's hard to tell, but I oftentimes just set it to the same as the black because you really don't see the graininess or you see weird like speckling behavior in the yellow. You see it in the black, you see it in the cyan, maybe a little bit in the magenta. But like I said, cyan and black are the two that are most notorious for causing that extra graininess. So, so I would do the grain check. Within the Digital Factory Profiler right now because they do have it. So let's use it. And it should do a really good job of it because they are also in that process assessing whether or not your printer's capable of 2 or 3 variable dot sizes because that can change things too. What my check does not do is decide if I'm going to use just small, medium, and large, like just 2 dot sizes. That's one thing mine is not doing, my test. Because there's not a nice way for me to analyze that. You have to have like back-end control of the software to be able to tell it to do 1 or 2 dot sizes. NeoStampa does that. NeoStampa has been doing that for a while with the ability for me to actually control that. Like, and that's the biggest thing that I would say that gives me more insight as to what's happening is because like with NeoStampa, I have more control over some of those back end things. I have more control over like little functions, whereas Digital Factory is like, here's what you want, here's what you get, here's what we think you need, and you get nothing outside of that. Which for somebody who doesn't want to get nitty gritty with it, it's actually really helpful to not have those questions. Because oftentimes the questions I get from NeoStampa users are, what do I do with this? What do I do with this? And a lot of times just using the default settings is what you should use. But NeoStampa opens up all of the options for you so you can see what's there and you kind of get a little bit of paralysis by analysis. You're like, I don't know what to do about this. So sometimes it's better to have less options. Like when I'm booking travel, I so prefer having less options. Like I stay at IHG hotels. I'm a Diamond Elite member at IHG because I spent 97 nights in hotels last year. And this year it'll be even more. But if I had every hotel to choose from, it would take me forever to pick a hotel. Whereas when I fly American, I rent my car with budget, and I go to IHG hotels. That's pretty much what I do. Barring if there's a better opportunity, like if American doesn't fly to a particular place, I'll look for other opportunities. But generally, I do that because then I can answer the questions quicker. I can get it done quicker. I can schedule it. So when Digital Factory doesn't offer you as many options, sometimes it's actually okay because you can get stuff done more quickly. You don't get lost in the weeds. You don't spend hours and hours while your shop shut down tweaking with little settings to find there was no difference. It's actually happened to one of the guys that's profiling. He said, there is, he said, I tried 3 different settings and they look identical. I was like, yeah, they do. Correct. First of all, the wifey says, Happy New Year, everyone. Correct. Long Beach Airport, American does not fly to. So I'll probably be flying somebody else for that because it's so much closer. Ooh, Carl ordered some Chroma. It's going to be fun, Carl. Hey, when you are setting that up, reach out to me. I am in shops a lot this week and next week, but I'll be available in the evenings and stuff like that. Reach out. I'd love to see and hear your experience with it because I had amazing experience, but I want end user experience. So, what printer do you have? Because obviously the Digital Factory and Neostampa are, in my opinion, the 2 best. Neostampa, I think, has the best color engine. However, you have to build a bespoke profile. It's not coming with the default profiles. Now, the default profiles that come in Digital Factory are not really that great. Sometimes you get lucky, you find one that works well. But Neostampa comes with literally nothing, like no profiles. They're expecting you're going to build a profile. So depending on your machine, I might have some like basic ones that you can test with because I do have a lot of Neostampa profiles. It's not going to be perfect, but at least get you in the ballpark. Same thing with Digital Factory. They've got a bunch of stuff that'll get you in the ballpark. But in my opinion, those are the 2 better ones. But let me know what printer you have because I might have a slightly different opinion when I hear what printer you have. But either one of those. And you can buy them from me. I do sell both. I don't have Digital Factory 12 on my website yet, mostly because I didn't want people buying it when I'm not familiar with it yet. So I still need to like play with it a little bit before I start selling it because I need to be able to support it. And I don't want to sell something I can't support. So Thor, I had this exact conversation with them this week. This is why I like partnering with DTF Station. I mentioned, hey, are you guys going to put Chroma ink in bags for Mamaki's or for Epson or something like that? And his answer was no, because he respects his partnership he has with Epson, with Mamaki, because they don't produce film. Like they just make ink for their machines. Mamaki, Epson, Roland, these other companies that use cartridges, they're not manufacturing film. And dryers. So DTF Station wanted to partner with these companies to get their dryers and film and powder from DTF Station since they are not manufacturing those things. And out of respect for them and those businesses, and that they part of what they do is sell those inks and stuff like that, he chose not to do anything competing wise. And I love that about them, that he respects and honors relationships with companies and with people. So that's one of the main reasons I love working with them, is because they have a similar just mindset and ethos for doing business. I don't want to do anything that's going to compete with somebody else, like be that's going to step on someone else's toes heavily. Obviously there's always some overlap, but yeah, so they're not going to be doing the chrome ink in bags or anything like that. They will do it for all the bulk ink systems. So anything manufactured China-wise, you can do chroma ink in it. So, but that was a question I specifically asked him last week. So, yeah, Long Beach is so much easier to get in and out of than LAX, and it's so close. But when American doesn't fly there, it's like lame. So I'll probably just do Southwest or something like that because I can just go in and out. It's pretty easy. Anyway, yeah. So let me know if you want to just shoot me an email. We can chat from there and get you set up with something, maybe a couple trials or something like that. I agree. It's rare that you find people that are not super cutthroat in this industry. Sometimes it's to their detriment. Sometimes I think it's to their benefit. So it's one of the reasons that I share everything. Because I think that as we all just get better, it grows our industry as a whole. So yeah, and I'm gonna partner. I really only choose to partner with people that have a similar mindset. That's why there's some companies I just won't partner with or work with from a public standpoint. There are companies that I will happily test things for and happily work with them on like testing some equipment, some inks, some things like that. I'll happily do that. Just my outward relationships, I'm very, very specific about the people that I choose to work with. So anyway, all right. Well, if you guys don't have any more questions, I'm going to wrap it up because I got lots to do before I leave tomorrow for Massachusetts, where it's supposed to be like 30 degrees, which is not crazy cold for y'all out there, but I'm currently in shorts right now because it's like 60 something, 70 something. I don't know. It's lovely out. Anyway, no live stream next week. I'm terribly sorry. Next week, I will be in a shop literally Monday through Friday. So I don't think I will get on to do any kind of live stream next week. If I happen to find a good opportunity, I might. But let's be real. Live streams from my hotel room are always lame. They're always lame. They look like garbage. I don't have my setup. So, yeah. All right, let's see. A couple more questions popped in. Yes, I've seen some bulk ink adapters. I think, yeah, obviously, it's going to void the warranty. Anytime you use non-manufacturer recommended ink, it's going to void the warranty. So there are other companies that make ink bags for Mimaki, that make ink cartridges for Mimaki, but it will void the warranty immediately when you put that other ink in it. So just be aware of that. And the bulk ink systems, I think one of the reasons why the Mimaki generally works so well and why the Epson and the Roland all tend to have fewer issues is because they're a sealed system. There are some major benefits to the sealed system. But with better consumable, I don't know. Maybe not as big of a deal. Looking at adding another machine, do you recommend 4, 6, 8 colors? Well, in DTF, we have to do colors in sets of 4. So it kind of depends on the machine you're getting. What do you have right now, Robin? And I love that avatar. Is that just like a bear chilling? Yeah, it's just a big old grizzly bear just chilling. Yeah, what do you have right now? So generally, like the extended color stuff is awesome. There are definitely colors you can produce with like I'm not a big fan of the red and blue, as most of you all know. How many print heads do you have right now? Are you looking to up your print head count? Like to give yourself more speed? Okay. Yeah. CMYKW. So if you're looking to give yourself more speed, stick with CMYK, because when you go to extended colors, it kind of halves your speed-ish. So if you like had a 6-head printer, you would have 3 CMYK, 3 whites. If you went to extended color, it would have um, 2 well, actually, with a 6-head, you could technically do, like, 4 CMYK and 2 whites, technically. But anyway, sorry, I digress. Um, you're going from 3 CMYKs to just 2, and then 2 extended colors, and then 2 white print heads is kind of what you're doing. So, yeah, 2 heads. So if you're looking to get more speed, I would probably stick with CMYK. Um, it depends on what you're trying to produce. If you're trying to do um, a lot of like color matches with some like very bright like Pantone type matches, an extended color might be beneficial. But as we've seen from some of the testing with the chroma, aside from the fluorescent colors, I'm getting very similar oranges and greens to like what has been my recommended ink set for extended fluorescence is Inkbank. The orange and green I'm getting out of the chroma is pretty close to what the orange and green are producing from the Inkbank set. So you do get more from the fluorescence, the brighter colors and stuff like that, but it does add a layer of complexity. So it just depends on kind of what you want. Mostly gang sheets. Honestly, like, yes, we can get you brighter results with extended color a bit, but I'm very much going to be in the camp of like a really great ink set like the chroma in just about any printer is going to produce a lot more bright greens, a lot better reds than any of the other CMYK sets that I've run across. But if you want those super bright, vibrant, maybe even neons or fluorescents, you would want to go extended color, and it would have to be 8 color. So you would do CMYK, orange, green, fluorescent yellow, fluorescent magenta, and you'd have to use Neo Stampa because Digital Factory does not integrate fluorescence into the ICC. So, stories for slowing down. This is your first time commenting. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the chat. After printing, how long before adding the powder, and can I use my press to melt the powder? So, first is wait 60 to 90 seconds before you powder. So wait 60, 90 seconds before you powder. And then I would not recommend long-term using your heat press to melt the powder. And there's a couple reasons for that. Number one is the fumes that get exhausted from that curing process are just going to go into your room and you're going to breathe them in, and they're not great. That's why you should have some type of fume extraction, whether it's built in or you're venting to the outside. You should have some kind of fume extraction. The other thing is the heat presses are really designed for contact heat transfer. They're not designed for radiant heat transfer. So it's not only going to take a lot longer, but you're going to end up with hot and cold spots. You're going to have to move it around a little bit, and it just doesn't cure it really well. That's why the dryer shakers oftentimes use bulbs, which radiate heat. This doesn't actually use bulbs. It actually uses a heat platen on the bottom, but the film is actually sitting on that heat platen curing, whereas that heat platen hovers over the top of it. So I would not recommend using the heat press to melt the powder as a long-term solution. In a pinch, it works fine. I would encourage you to get some kind of curing oven. And DTF Station does have a heat curing oven. It's called the Phoenix. It's on my floor because I never use it. But they have a sheet curing oven. And if you look at any DTF Station dealer or go to their website and you can look for the product and then ask to order it from a dealer, they don't sell a ton of them, like just because it's not a huge. Most people are going for the automated setup, but so dealers may not stock that heat or that sheet curing oven, but they will be able to drop ship it from DTF Station. So reach out to a dealer to see if they can find you a sheet curing oven And that is going to also have a fume extractor built into it. So it's not going to exhaust nasty fumes into your workspace. So I hope that helps. So Carl, I would do something that has some extremes, something that's like with some super saturation. But I think this is good. Anytime you're like testing a new ink, always have some images, because what I did notice is that on images that were just straight, like normal kind of colors, there wasn't a big difference in the chroma because those colors were in gamut for both of the machines. It was anytime you hit a color that was out of the gamut from the other ink set that you notice the difference. So even on my, let's see if I can grab these real quick. Let me find them, see if they're here. So I have like my default set of like images that I use for all of my testing. And yeah, here it is. Perfect. Okay. I've got them. I've got them right here. Sorry, I made y'all look at my back. Okay, let me change this light here to white because the last thing I want to do is screw up the color with my pretty lights, my pretty lights. Let's see. Key light. Let's change this to 4900. There we go. Okay. Oh, that's so bright. Let me turn that brightness down just a hair. Okay. That's not as extreme. Okay. So like this image here is going to look pretty much the same with both of these because they're both in gamut. Now, what I will say is this orange, see the second one in, is a little bit brighter. So the orange is where I noticed it first and kind of immediately. But these are two images that have colors that are all pretty much in gamut. So they look identical, almost identical, which is actually a really good thing. On this bigger set, now this is a default like image. I poached it out of Neo Stampa. It's just one of their test images. And the reason I like this as a test image is because not only does it show off some brighter colors, but it's got like 3 or 4 different skin tones in here. And it's got a whole bunch of gradients. And gradients, sorry, this side, gradients are where you see a good profile from a crappy profile. That's why I always like joke that like at trade shows, I don't want shops to show me their most vibrant, crazy image. I want them to show me a bunch of gradients, because that means that they're not just pushing that one spot color to go crazy or those 3 or 4 spot colors to go crazy. A gradient is going to perform well across the board. So this was the original. This was chroma. And I don't know if you guys are going to see much of a difference here. Not a huge difference, but in the oranges, it's a little bit brighter, a little more saturation. I'm not going to be able to get them to sit on top of each other. Let's see. This is so hard doing it in reverse. So see how my orange is a little more saturated than it is over here? So the orange is really where I notice it the most, but the green also. And when I look at the gamut, that's the area that performed better. So having something like this lets you know your baseline is still good, so you're not screwing things up. But then having something like this that just goes crazy, like you want something like this that goes nuts, because you want to see how those crazy saturated bright colors perform. So like this one here is probably my favorite from the saturation standpoint, like saturation and brightness standpoint. And like these greens were just popping. Yeah. So an image that has graphics like these, an image that is pretty standard, you want to kind of print both of those out to have them as a comparison. Because if you don't have something to compare against, you don't know what it's doing, aside from like I digitally looked at. I digitally looked at the gamut. I did not jack those images from anywhere. Somebody else jacked them from somewhere. I'll send you that last image. Somebody else shared it with me. So we're not selling it. Let's just keep using it, I guess. I don't know. But it's a pretty good one for testing some of the ridiculousness. But you want to find super saturated, super vibrant, super bright colors that push those gamuts. That's the other reason why I want to figure out how to create a color swatch sheet based off of the ICC profile, because then we can know which colors we should show do a better job. Does that make sense? Yeah. So if I have the exact like lab value for that outer edge of super saturation, I can pull that color in and say, here's the comparison when I printed it in this profile or this ink set versus this ink set. Yeah, I got to figure out a way to do that. There we go. Huh. So much better. Not as bright. All right. So yeah, Carl, I'll try to get that sent over to you. I'll try to dig up where it's at. Yeah. Well, if y'all have any other questions, let me know. Drop me an email. Send me a smoke signal. But I will be on the road for the next 13 days. So it'll be a hot second before I live stream again. So next planned live stream is Monday the 18th. I should have looked that up before I started this shenanigans. Let's see. Monday the 19th, Martin Luther King Day. So Monday the 19th is the next live stream scheduled. Doesn't mean I won't pop on for some other random reason. But next live stream will be the 18th. And then Impressions. So come see me at Impressions. I will be at the DTF Station booth. I believe the DTF Station booth's over in the arena. So if you've ever been to Impressions before, they have the big main floor area. And then when you walk in from the first entrance, it's back to the right. There's like the Rock Hall, which is kind of like, looks like a food court area, but it's full of just all of Rock's equipment. And then past there's another arena that has a whole bunch of more booths. And I believe that DTF Station is back there in that arena. So with a bunch of booths. And like I said, there will be freebies. I cannot say what they are yet, but they will be there. Oh, is that what the Rock Atrium, is that what it's called? Is that the atrium? Is that what we're talking about? So, Skidoo. Those images do not produce like that without a really good ink set. Using a standard ink set, you won't get that kind of poppy color. So, oh, you're in China. Well, I should be coming to China at some point, but if you're not in the Shenzhen area, I don't know that I'm going to be venturing out much outside of the Shenzhen area when I do come. But yeah, if I do have like international type shows planned or coming up, I will let you guys know. Right now, the only thing officially on the docket is Impressions in Long Beach. But we'll see about some other shows depending on what I do. Anyway, y'all have a great rest of your week. And if you do have ideas on things I can do to collab with Estevan, let me know. We need some good projects for me and Esty Bestie. So I'm not aware of any trade show in Canada. What part of Canada are you in? Frank, are there any good shows? Are there any good shows in Canada, or are there any trade shows in Canada? Most people come down from Canada to go to like the American shows. So it's at least what I've seen. But Frank's at all of them because he's with Stalls and he's at like all of the shows. Center. Yeah. So Frank, and any good shows in Canada? We'll give him a second answer, unless he like said bye and then just logged off immediately. But yeah. Not that I'm aware of. They might, they should, they're close. SPSI is a screen print, embroidery, and DTF dealer out of Minnesota. I've been there multiple times, good friends. But they would sell out, yeah. So it depends on what you're looking for, stories for slowing down. If you're just looking to see like what's out there, the Impressions in Long Beach is the best show to go to. Because it is everything. Like it's the biggest garment decoration specific trade show. A lot of the smaller ones tend to have not as much equipment and more like end users, like people that want to buy transfers, go to those shows because companies that sell transfers are at them. I know Atlantic City last year did not have too many equipment vendors there, but had a ton of DTF transfer sellers. So, you have an imprint show. Wait, Robin, where are you from? Did you say earlier that you were from someplace? I think you did, and then I probably just missed it. Nope. We have an imprint show. Are you Canada, Robin? Are you in Canada as well? I probably should know this by now because I know you've commented a few times. Calgary, yep. I was just there a month ago, or not quite a month ago, a few weeks ago. We have an imprint show. So is the imprint show similar to like Printing United where it's like all printing? Like, or is it garment specific? And I don't know yet if I will be at Impressions in Atlantic City this year. I don't know yet. I'm still trying to work out some details on some agreements and some sponsorships and stuff like that. So that will dictate what shows I do go to. But if I can, I love it. It's a fun show. It was also the first show I did on my own. Okay. So it looks like the imprint show might be an option for you. Stories for slowing down. There it is. Cool. When is that show? In Calgary or in Canada, wherever it is? I'll look it up. Imprint show. Toronto. Imprint Canada. There it is. My wife texted it to me. Let me pop up the computer. There we go. So this is imprint. Oh, it's happening like this week. Friday and Saturday. In Etobicoke, Ontario. Etobicoke? I'm totally saying that wrong. I'm butchering it, is what it is. Oh, but also September? Well, it looks like I got one right now, but yeah, it looks like, yeah, Robin says September as well. So maybe they've got two different shows and times, but, oh, National show, Montreal show, Calgary show. There it is. So let's go Calgary show. Yep, September 19th and 20th. Montreal show, September 4th and 5th in Quebec. So, yeah. So, there you go. We all learned something new today. Now, Frank can go to Canada because he needs another trade show to go to. Anyway, all right. That wraps up for today. You guys all have a great next 2 weeks. I will see you back here on the 19th, same time, and we'll have some fun. I'll talk about my experience with those DTG printers we're going to get into this week and share any other updates that we've got. Appreciate you guys. Happy New Year. and I'll see you in a couple weeks. Bye.